India and Pakistan are on the brink, armed to the teeth with the world's deadliest new weapons from the US, Russia, China, and beyond. A single spark could ignite a nuclear firestorm in South Asia, and the ripple effects could change the global power balance forever. From hypersonic missiles to combat drones, we're diving deep into how these military advancements are pushing the region toward a breaking point. Buckle up. This is going to be intense. The escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, nuclear-armed neighbors with a history of conflict, have been made worse by recent developments in military technology. The latest advancements in weaponry from the United States, Russia, China, Israel, France, the Netherlands, and indigenous developments by India and Pakistan have profound geopolitical implications. These advancements not only heighten the risk of conflict escalation, but also reshape regional power dynamics, influence global alliances, and challenge international stability. Let's focus in detail on the strategic interplay of military technology, regional rivalries, and global interests. The India-Pakistan conflict, centered on the disputed Kashmir region, has seen a significant military buildup since their last major confrontation in 2019. A terrorist attack on April 22, 2025, in Pahalgam, Kashmir, which killed 26 people, has reignited tensions, with India blaming Pakistan and retaliating on May 6th with attacks on what India says are terrorist bases inside Pakistan. The upgraded arsenals by both armies vastly increase the risk of escalation, potentially to a nuclear level. India has modernized its forces with 36 French-made Rafale fighter jets since 2019, with more on order for its navy, addressing weaknesses exposed in the 2019 conflict when it relied on aging Russian jets. India has also acquired Israel's Heron Mark II combat drones and is expecting U.S. Predator drones, enhancing its surveillance and strike capabilities. Additionally, India has secured Russia's S-400 anti-aircraft system to bolster its air defenses and continues to develop its indigenous BrahMos supersonic cruise missile with a 300-kilometer range and the Agni series of intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching targets across China and Pakistan. India's hypersonic missile tests and nuclear-capable ballistic missile submarines further underscore its pursuit of a survivable nuclear triad aimed at deterring both Pakistan and China. Pakistan, in response, has acquired China's J-10 fighter jets, a rough equivalent to the Rafale, since 2022, and Turkey's Bayraktar TB2 and Akinci drones, which have been battle-tested in Ukraine. Pakistan has also obtained China's HQ-9 air defense system, a step below the S-400, and tested its Fateh-2 surface-to-surface ballistic missile with a 450-kilometer range on May 3, 2025. Pakistan's development of tactical nuclear weapons and its full-spectrum deterrence policy, which does not rule out first use, aim to offset India's conventional superiority. Recent U.S. sanctions on Pakistani entities in December 2024 over concerns about long-range missile development indicate Pakistan's growing capability to target beyond South Asia, potentially even the U.S., adding a new layer of global concern. The influx of advanced weaponry has redrawn military alliances in South Asia, reflecting broader geopolitical shifts. India, traditionally reliant on Russian arms, has reduced its dependence, with Russia's share of India's arms imports dropping from 76% in the 2009 to 2013 period to 36% recently. Instead, India has turned to the U.S., France, and Israel, aligning more closely with Western powers. The U.S. has deepened its partnership with India through initiatives like the U.S.-India Compact, enhancing military cooperation and designating India a major defense partner. This shift is partly driven by India's need to counter China, especially after the 2020 Galwan Valley clash, and reflects a broader U.S. strategy to bolster India as a counterweight to China in the Indo-Pacific. Pakistan, meanwhile, has strengthened its defense ties with China, which supplies 82% of its arms imports. The China-Pakistan axis, exemplified by joint weapons development like the J-10 jets, positions Pakistan as a proxy for Chinese interests in South Asia. This dynamic creates a de facto U.S.-China rivalry by proxy, as Western-supplied Indian weapons face off against Chinese-supplied Pakistani ones. The ongoing clash serves as a proving ground for NATO standard versus Chinese military technology, with global implications for the arms industry and military strategies, particularly in the Indo-Pacific, where U.S.-China tensions are already high. Russia, despite its historical role as India's largest arms supplier, has not abandoned India even as it grows closer to China. Russia's provision of the S-400 system and past support for India's nuclear submarine program highlight its strategic balancing act, avoiding actions that could worsen India's vulnerabilities amid tensions with China. However, Russia's reduced reliability as an arms supplier due to its focus on the Ukraine conflict has pushed India to diversify, further aligning it with the West. The introduction of advanced weaponry from multiple global powers has several geopolitical effects. First is a heightened risk of escalation. The upgraded arsenals, particularly India's Rafale jets and S-400 systems versus Pakistan's J-10 jets and HQ-9 defenses, increase the likelihood of the limited conventional conflict escalating rapidly. Military experts note both sides' leaders have a higher risk appetite since 2019, believing they are better equipped. However, the lack of clear mutual understanding of escalation triggers, combined with Pakistan's tactical nuclear weapons and India's no-first-use policy, creates a dangerous ambiguity. A miscalculation in the ongoing conflict could lead to nuclear brinkmanship. Another big problem is the nuclear triangle dilemma between China, Pakistan, and India. China wields an estimated 600 nuclear weapons, India 180, and Pakistan 170. India's development of longer-range weapons, like the Agni missiles, targets China as much as Pakistan, reflecting its two-front challenge. China's support for Pakistan, including potential nuclear cooperation, fuels India's suspicions, driving its pursuit of a nuclear triad. This triangle dilemma, nested within broader U.S.-China competition, risks destabilizing the region, as India's assertiveness, emboldened by U.S. support, prompts Pakistan to enhance its nuclear deterrent, further entrenching the arms race. The U.S. and China have significant stakes in the India-Pakistan conflict. The U.S., while urging de-escalation, sees India as a key ally against China, providing advanced drones and deepening defense ties. However, its hands-off approach under the Trump administration may have tempered India's aggressive posturing, reducing the immediate risk of conflict. China, as Pakistan's ally, watches closely, potentially gaining insights into its own aerial capabilities through Pakistan's use of Chinese weapons. A conflict would also test the reliability of French, Israeli, and U.S. systems, influencing future arms sales globally. A conflict of any duration would disrupt global markets, particularly affecting energy and food security, as seen in other geopolitical crises like the Russia-Ukraine war. The suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty by India in 2025, viewed by Pakistan as an act of war, threatens water security, worsening humanitarian risks for millions along the line of control. The economic fallout would ripple globally, impacting South Asia's role in counterterrorism and economic growth. France's Rafale jets and Israel's drones have bolstered India's capabilities, while Turkey's drones enhance Pakistan's arsenal. The Netherlands, though not explicitly mentioned in recent arms deals, has historically supplied radar and naval systems to both nations, potentially influencing their maritime strategies. The involvement of these nations underscores the globalized nature of the arms trade, where regional conflicts draw in multiple stakeholders, complicating diplomatic efforts to de-escalate. Both India and Pakistan are pursuing indigenous weapons to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers. India's BrahMos missile and Agni series, along with its hypersonic missile tests, reflect a push for self-reliance, aligning with Prime Minister Modi's goal to double arms exports to $6 billion by 2029. Pakistan's Fateh-2 missile and tactical nuclear weapons development aim to counter India's conventional edge, ensuring strategic stability through deterrence. These indigenous efforts enhance both nations' autonomy, but also fuel the regional arms race, as each seeks to outpace the other in technological advancements. The latest military weapons developments have intensified the India-Pakistan rivalry, creating a volatile geopolitical landscape. The influx of advanced systems from the U.S., France, Israel, China, and Russia, alongside indigenous advancements, has heightened the risk of escalation, reshaped alliances, and drawn global powers into a regional conflict with worldwide implications. While the U.S. and China vie for influence through their proxies, the nuclear standoff involving China adds complexity, threatening strategic stability. International efforts to de-escalate, led by the US and China and the UN, are crucial to prevent a catastrophic conflict. But the lack of robust diplomatic channels between India and Pakistan, coupled with domestic pressures, keeps the region on edge. The world watches as South Asia remains a potential nuclear flashpoint, with the performance of these advanced weapons likely to shape future global military strategies. If you're fascinated by global conflicts, military tech, and the high-stakes chess game of geopolitics, hit that like button to show your support and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns like this. We're your go-to channel for understanding the world's most critical flashpoints, so don't miss out. Join our community today. And there you have it, the terrifying reality of how cutting-edge weapons are fueling the India-Pakistan powder keg, with the whole world holding its breath. What do you think? Will these new technologies lead to peace or plunge the region into nuclear Armageddon?